All right, greetings. So I'm observing a dilemma that many of our folks are in. First of all, let me be very clear from my simple observation and something that this particular cult leader has told me directly to my face, that the best place to hide something is right in front of people's face. And what was said to me was a quote from Hitler: "Tell a lie and make the lie so big that no one would ever think that you would tell a lie like that." And we get so caught up in new age information and esoteric information that a lot of times it's observed a lot of dots are not being connected. We're moving at such a pace, and understandably, people have lives to live. You have chores, you have children, you have things to do. And there are many things that predators count on. They count on you not being able to see while they run a game on and violate children when you're in the same house. You could even be in the same room. The best place to hide something is in plain view. It's a psychological game. And again, I'm observing that our folks, and many folks, humans, it's not hard. It occurs more and more. It's not hard to program people. There are quite a few folks that come on this channel, and the internet is a place, has shown up as a place for people to vent their opinions. I don't know that people even stop to think, because everyone is so intent on sharing. It's a public platform. It allows a space for people to share and interact. I don't even know if I can say all the time dialogue. But people get to vent off their opinions and quite often say things that they wouldn't even necessarily say in the tone that they're saying it to people's face. But I don't even know if people consider, I'm going to look at this information to see if there's anything that I haven't thought of or to learn something new. It seems the main priority is for everybody to express, but not to walk away with something new, a new perspective. The internet, and this can work different ways. You know, there could be someone you can say, there's no way I would be brainwashed, right? There's no way I could be manipulated. Quite often, people say, no way I would give my money to someone. People don't stop to think, is this happening to me anywhere in my life? Is there any way that I'm being manipulated like these women? Perhaps my sister and I, you come to this channel, perhaps the young women that are in some of these cults, perhaps the mates or the wives of the blind con artist, Joseph Robinson. Would anyone ever stop to think, to ask a question? Quite often we don't ask questions. We don't read the fine print. We don't ask questions once we are appeased and our ego is stroked, when someone basically gives us compliments. We're very easily distracted. It's not hard to program folks. That's a big, I invite people, consider that it's possible that any of you watching this, you could have 3-4 degrees, you could have all your land, you could be in a stable relationship. I invite you to consider that all human beings have the capacity to be scammed. It's just like different levels. Because we're not paying attention, right? We're not peeping the techniques or the patterns. Quite often when you're in something, you may not be able to see it, particularly if your emotions are involved, or if you're triggered, or if your memories are triggered. So the best place to hide something is in plain sight. And so we find ourselves in a dilemma. And it's not my intention to come online and put so much energy. I'd rather have us, and I do have other things to do and other things that are productive to share. But it is not a negative to share what is going on. If it were not for social media, you all wouldn't even know about half that's going on right in front. But we are in such a societal denial. We are in such an extreme level of denial in our community. And I observed this, I observed this pattern, and it's increasing. I observed it and I said, you know what? I said to my sister, I guarantee you more is going to come out and more is going to come out. This is bigger than any one individual. This is bigger than just males, right? This is bigger. This is about all of this foul behavior that has contributed to ruining our community just as much as the quote unquote slave master. The slave master is, it comes in different colors. The con artist is telling you, but you don't, or we don't, look at the person that's disseminating the information as if they will be capable of the same thing. That's where it's hidden. You're thinking somebody's looking out for you, giving you a solid, doing you a solid by telling you, wow, thanks, man, for telling me to look out. And then you don't consider them. I don't know if any of you have ever been professionally conned. It is an artistry. It is an art. It is studied. It is perfected. It is refined. Every time someone else goes to jail or gets busted, they refine their technique. Thus, everyone keeps watching and keeps participating. We are hooked in emotionally as a collective society, black and white, to being scammed. It's not hard. The longer, I mean, at what point do we come out of the denial? Yes, it can happen to me. Yes, it's happened to me. Most of us have been in the church and you've given away lots of your money. It's quite likely, maybe there are some exceptions, that you've been that your emotions have been manipulated, your fears have been manipulated, your words have been manipulated for money, not for salvation. It's quite likely that you've encountered con artists in your personal life. It's quite possible that people around you have been molested, violated, mishandled, conning goes on, and you didn't feel the need to say anything because that's those people over there. It has nothing to do with me. So, you know, is it that we selectively choose when folks are our people and when they're not? You know, when it's great, you know, we want to stand behind and elevate these celebrities, you know, to make us feel good because we see ourselves in the celebrities and the athletes and so on. But when it is exposed that they're violating children sexually, we have a lot of us, our mouths go mute. You know, if any of us just take a look at the comments, it's a reflection of an opportunity to see. And once you see, when you open your eyes and you see, which is why it appears that many of us stay in denial, because when you see, and even more so, when you acknowledge that you're seeing what you're seeing, then you'll have to do something. Then you'll have to be responsible. So, you know, we're so paralyzed. Somebody asked me, like, what do you think we should do? I'm one person. It takes a lot to put oneself in a public arena, knowing that the climate of folks is to gossip, vent, to rip people apart, not ask any questions, still not do their research. There might be a few that will, but the climate of social media, it's a lot to put yourself out there. And what is the goal? Hopefully, people will be responsible and ask some questions. But what I'm going to relate, I'm going to share an example. There are quite a few. And I think if people question themselves, where would be the best place to hide something? Think of the people that you prefer. It's not for people to be paranoid, but think of the leaders, you know, their agendas. You don't know their lives, the lack of transparency. Where would be the best place to hide something? The results speak for themselves. When we're walking around, I heard the other day, figure 1 in 6. And that's, we know that many men don't talk, that many men have been traumatized and been molested. You know, it's not mostly women, but it's women too, whether it's male or female. So if we look at the results of the trauma and the generational trauma, not just of slavery, that's not our whole history, within our own community, Who wants to acknowledge that? Because when you acknowledge something, you see something, then you'll have to do something. You know, some of these cult leaders talk about conviction and are you dedicated? Without any books, without any rhetoric. Once one sees and acknowledges, then the responsibility will be on each individual to do something, to use their own brain computer, their own common sense. Because I'm sure everyone could figure out something they could do to set some boundaries. It's uncomfortable. It challenges, then you have to question things. It's not about paranoia. You know, there's a lot to be said for perspective. Someone used the words, interestingly, brutal, that when you're speaking the truth, that it's brutal. And it's just so interesting, the conditioning, the words that we use when we communicate. If you're honest, or if you speak up, it's considered brutal. We have a negative connotation to speaking up about the elephant that's in the room. We can speak about all people. It's all people, societal, but definitely within our community. If you speak out against the abuse from the person that's providing in your home, your household, the food, clothing, and shelter, if that person is there, then that's considered a violation. You don't speak out against, you see, it's mixed messages. A lot of this has been beaten in generationally. Some stuff is not our fault, but it's our responsibility. So the best place to hide something is in front of folks' face. So, update. Right? I'm going to show you folks how this is all being hidden right in plain view. This man, Joseph Robinson, he uses folks to give him credibility. I can sit here right now and I can tell you that for his agenda, yes, I was used for his agenda. Many of the people that I worked with have his book. I don't know if they really cared about the book. They out of a trust from me, they bought, well, one of his books, which was the book on fruits and vegetables. Actually, one of my clients even commented that his language was kind of weird. Now, from my perspective, what I saw, I'm sharing a book on fruits and vegetables in the most simplest form. Didn't even have a bunch of pictures. Had pictures of some fruits and vegetables and tropical and a chubby, you know, healthy looking baby on the back. You know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm sharing fruits and vegetables, the clarity to eat fruits and vegetables living. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with sending some economics the way of someone who appears to be doing something positive? That's not a crime. That's something positive. That's like sometimes you feel like the least that we can do. That's the least that I can do is support somebody that seems like they're doing something worthy. So many folks bought his book on fruits and vegetables, but then sliding in, he uses people to give him credibility. So now what happens is that now this predator now is in the hands of people know his name and showing you how it spreads. People that would have never thought to send this person a donation. I did fundraisers for this man. I had my sister who's an artist. We did fundraisers of quilts and bought the whole entire community sneakers and hand-painted shirts for them, right? So when people want to talk and point fingers, the place that it came from, there's nothing wrong with the place that it came from, because many of us will sit around and do nothing, not even contribute. We watch TV and we don't even contribute. But as I said, we got taken to school. But the thing is, there's something happening right now, about to happen in Belize. Something positive, a health and wellness fair. And so what this young man will do, and I have to think, this is part of how I got. They're at the festivals, at the African street festivals, or at a New Age consciousness festival, selling their plates of their food, right? That's not a huge money maker. It can be at some festivals for him to bring in money. He works for that. But it's just a couple of key people, the people that come through that might have cancer or might have another diagnosis, or folks that have a picture of these folks living in the tropics as a family. Who doesn't want that? That's where he comes in, right? So you're having a conversation. Initially, you're lured with the food. I was lured with the food. I'm not wasn't looking for necessarily a God figure. Wasn't looking for a God figure or somebody to replace Jesus. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for fruits, vegetables, perhaps an opportunity to share land and know who my neighbors were. That's what I was looking for. But what he's selling, he slides stuff in. And I'll never forget, you know, I asked about, are there classes? And his mate with the glasses, remember, he's physically blind, can't see, directed me towards something else. They started pointing out, well, you have acne on your face. And we noticed this and we noticed that about you. So quickly diverted to something that's personal. It's like somebody, a fortune teller that sees you coming, either in your body language or something that they're going to pick out, you know, that could be a trigger for you. There is a science and there's a definite technique, which is why I keep encouraging people to get educated. But anyway, so these folks are going to be at an event in Belize, Central America, at a health fair, right? He knows that a lot of his money, his financing, is going to come from people like me, caring individuals. Mama and people that care are going to bring their friends and their sisters and other people that came, like I came with my family. And we didn't come empty-handed. All the people that come in there are feeding this man's project. So he's gonna lure you with the little plates of fruits and vegetables. The economy is very different here. You can't sell a lot for it. But when you see the folks with all the clothes on it and the, you know, they all have the same family name. Now, you know, it's become apparent that if you ask them their name, they just say the last name, you know, quote unquote, Kwatamani. They won't tell you their names, you know. It's not so much you have to get in people's business, but these little nuances that you wouldn't notice. This man does not want to be on the radar. They're going to be at the health fair to draw in tourists. They're listed as a resort. They are not a resort. They are not a resort. People don't even know what they are. They come under the guise of fruits and vegetables to lure people in. So, because these people are black, should I not say anything? If there's a predator in our midst, should we sit around and not say anything because they're black, because they have locks, because they have mates? This is how people get got, because no one says anything. We don't want to be uncomfortable. Women, we don't want to be a traitor. So I ask you, what's the recourse? What should we do? We wind up doing nothing. We wind up sitting around and doing nothing. We move on to the next drama, or we move on to the next thing. What can other folks, you know, come up with to do? Instead of everybody going like this, what can we do? But in any event, when I'm sharing for people to peep, is that they will use women to bring other people in. They'll use babies, anchor babies, to pull people in. And right now, young people from Belize, the 3 young people that have gone through a hazing process and a breaking process to be inside of the cult are used to give this man credibility. They do not have a resort. Actually, yesterday, went out doing some errands. We drove past it. The place looks dirty. It looks overgrown, their pyramid. But they need to lure people there so they can get some money to keep doing their stuff. They have 99 acres of land that they've been on for well over 10 years. So question, I ask you, why do they still need donations? You know, this one has taken up the time to set and do a 501c3, a non-for-profit, but they're not servicing the people of Belize. Every now and then they come out and they do something, or they use the young people or other people to make it look a certain way. This one has refined his technique so you folks can't peep it. So again, the young people in Belize are used to give him credibility. Working women, professional women are used to give these cult leaders credibility so they can slide in, because they're not interacting with the people. You know what I'm saying? They come out, you know, and I'm not saying you got to let everybody into your family, but if you were to come around, you would see how they move. They answer everything with rhetoric. There are no direct questions. The bottom line is the young Belizeans that have been broken, and there are 3 of them in particular, 2 males and 1 female. The imagery and these young people that speak patois or Creole are used to give him credibility. So they're going to be at a health fair. So if you're at a health fair and you know that this is a cult, do you not say anything because they're black or because they're your people? What should we do, mothers? What should we do, fathers? Should we say nothing? What's your contribution? What kind of solutions can you come up with? If there's a predator in your midst, do you not say anything because they're your people? and they're the same color. This is how this continues to go on. And the examples that have come forward are endless. It is glaring. Do we sit in paralysis behind the cell phone screens, behind the computer screens, while the predators run in their midst, because everybody will come online and mouth off? No one is willing to do anything. Or let me not say no one. Very few people are willing to put themselves out there and do anything, and these predators know it. They're too busy to check on their children or their young adults. They're too big. They should have been experienced already at 21, 22. They know better. They should have. They have to pay their own way. So that being said, should we sit around and say nothing when you know predators are in the midst? I'm observing these cats. They know exactly. They know folks have appetites. They know folks have vices. They know folks have guilt and shame. So once they paint the picture in front of you, most people will be appeased very easily if you just give them a compliment. Most people won't even question you. They won't cross-reference you. I invite you all, if you're going to look at any of their videos, which I highly don't recommend you buy any of their music, because, next thing you'll be like, wow, yeah, that's really cool. It's used to brainwash you. And it's just a fact. If you were to hear some of the older stuff that I have, it's kind of eerie, but you're so intent on what you think it is, on what you think you're going for, that you're not seeing enough of their agenda. There are things that I saw, but for it to come to a full comprehension, after a while, there are certain things I couldn't deny, and also not wanting to accuse somebody of something falsely. After a while, there are just many things I couldn't deny. I couldn't deny how I saw him speak to his mates. But I'm telling you, I'm about to watch right now, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, at a health fair, as these folks sit there, the next Genesis, as he's had several young Belizeans marry and go through a hazing process in his camp. The women and children are the ones that are put out front to give him credibility that he's doing something great as a 501c3, as a not-for-profit. He's not stupid. Neither are the folks in churches, the leaders of churches, religious organizations, gurus. They're not stupid. They are savvy. They're savvier. It's not that folks are not smart. This is not average folks. They're savvier than the average person. This is where we think that we're so smart, but if your brain is not wired for this level of manipulation, it's no wonder how people miss it, because the average person is not functioning on this level of manipulation and cunning. And once you allow predators in and people don't say anything, then as a community, then we have collectively given them credibility. We've given them the go. We've given them the pass. That's why these couple of celebrities, 3 I can think of right now, Lambada, the Kelly, the MJ, even knowing they've been in the bed with children, all of this is how they've been given a pass. Because once you start dancing to that music and you keep buying it, after the information is out, then we all give a pass and it's accepted. Then the children and radars are not going to go up. Mothers did not protest, are not protesting in mass and taking and throwing this person's music out and saying, I don't want to give a mixed message to other women. I don't want to give a mixed message to children that are coming this way. I'm not interested in sending people that way. I can sit and I can admit, yes, I was used to lure people there just by supporting their fundraiser. That's not my intention. But when you have smart, intelligent, and giving women, that's how these people get credibility right in front of your face. When you see babies, your hearts melt. But these young men and young women have been hazed, broken. Their parents are aware, but after a while, what can a parent do? They just want their young people to be safe. At some point, they just settle with, they're not smoking, they're drinking, as long as they're not dead. You know what I'm saying? They're grown folks, they can do what they want to do. But I'm telling you, someone that lived in there, there's a hazing process. And when you look at the grooming process, communities have been groomed for a long time. Our community is continually groomed. Because one thing about these predators, they are relentless. They are relentless. Even while people complain and vent in front of the computer, predators are relentless. They don't stop. Their mind is wired a certain way. Predators, they are relentless. They don't stop. This is not a joke. So while people take this lightly and as entertainment, these folks keep running. They keep trucking right on through. They don't stop with their agenda. We get You know, after the excitement and the drama and watching some of this stuff on YouTube, people go right back. Their feelers are not up. No one starts literally starting to set healthier boundaries. Who has taken the time to start educating young people, to start having these communications and dialogues on what to look for in their own community, or even with their close friends? Once you acknowledge something has happened, then the onus, the weight will be on you to do something. That's one of the reasons why folks don't do anything, or we stay in denial. Once you come out of denial, if you come out of denial that you are aware that patterns were off at this person, you can see why the children were missing in their presence, or the children acted up in their presence, and you find out they were a predator. Once you become aware, then you'll be interconvicted without a book. You'll be convicted to do something. No one wants to do anything. People are too scared. I'm not interested in being a martyr while people sit around, you know, they look at stuff in the newspaper and they point a finger in their maze and they go right on to whatever else they were doing. So the best place to hide something is in front of people's face. These young people and women that are intelligent and that are upstanding are used to give these people, to give the predator, in this case, Joseph Robinson, credibility. And these manipulators will use their own children, If I know somebody's a predator, I don't want any of your food. I don't want your music. I don't want anything that you're doing. Plant some fruits and vegetables. Do what you can to clean up your own relationships, right? Because there's layers and layers of stuff. But to put it into these predators' hands, they know exactly what they're doing. They can forecast most people's behavior. People are underestimating these predators. So they'll be at a health fair tomorrow as a resort. They are not a resort. They don't let anybody in there. You know, if folks have to really think, how did I get in there? They don't let anybody into their community, anybody, without a reason, unless you are being groomed for something, or unless you're part of this person's plan. If you come in, he's got a plan for you monetarily. He's got a plan for your children to come in and be mated into his children. And the whole thing that contaminates the whole process is the lack of transparency and the absolute control. It's really like we go from being passed from one camp to another camp. And we don't want to believe that within our community, the same twisted manipulation is going on that's going on folks of other persuasions. It's the same thing that's going on. We want to stay in denial. That's happening within our own community. We're being manipulated and gamed within our own community. And so what are we going to do about it? There are women defending it and men defending it. Why? Because people think, you know, it's an easier route. They think they have, you know, they think it's an easier route. You know, the Islam is better than the Christianity. The Judaism is better than this. It's all the programs. If folks didn't have these books, you mean to tell me folks can't figure out how to treat people without a book? I love reading. I love wisdom. I love books, but none of it can trump the wisdom that has come from real life experience. Sometimes all of the book reading can neutralize people acting on their common sense and pretending and justifying that they don't see what's being seen right in front of them. So for the 16-year-old, well, she was 16 when she came in. Now she's, you know, in her early 20s. That's with this man in his 70s. You know, we want so bad for something to be something. This image of a father. You know, pimps can have children too. Predators can have children too. That we won't call it as we see it. How much more do we need to see? I would say everything is out in the open. It has all come forward for us to set a standard of protection. Is anyone going to stand up to protect children? Are any women going to stand up and say something and cross-reference their mates and cross-reference who's around the children? Is anyone going to run a background check? Is anyone going to look up Joseph Robinson? Then folks, even look at the video. Is it, how did you become a high priest, or who made you a high priest? Listen to the answer. Listen 3 times. Listen 3 times. So they're the first Genesis tribe. So you see these people with red, gold, and green serving vegan food, and they have babies. So you assume it's not a cult. It's the control. I could never send anyone that way. I could never. Go the way of fruits and vegetables, but not putting these people on a pedestal, because the patterns are of control. It's like running a train. Everybody's online to see who will be in control of the minds and the resources of the women and the children and the young men for soldiers. You think it's just quote unquote white supremacy, but it's not. Anyone is wanting to be supreme, over someone else, and people throw words around like morals and chakras and divine and energy, and we sopping it up. Old school style, like cornbread in college, we sop it up. Perhaps it's a coping mechanism, but they're hiding it in plain view. Because why would somebody hide something in plain view? Why would a predator show you in plain view? Well, they put certain things in plain view because you won't question it. Or even if it's there, if someone put something in plain view and then you saw it and you didn't say anything, then as a collective, then you are also incriminated. And that is definitely one of the techniques of these cult leaders. They have the folks inside the cults incriminate themselves and become complicit in behaviors and participate in certain behaviors that maybe they hadn't intended on participating in. But once you become complicit and once you participate in certain behaviors, now you're quote unquote just as guilty and it's magnified. These predators know exactly what they're doing. They're using women and children and young adults who are painting a picture of something. Meanwhile, you don't have a clue as to what's going on in the inside. If they're eating fruits and vegetables, no way they could be conning people out of money. Maybe this man didn't start out this way. I don't know. But with some of the stories that I heard out of his own mouth, if it was so great, I would still be in there. If it was so great, I would still be in there. I would still be sending people this man's way and saying, wow, when I say sending his way, let me be specific. Wow, there's someone is really, a man is doing something that's really wonderful. And he's from the States. Mind you, they're all from the States with the exception of one, his main wife, Mona Robinson. And she's been with him since a young girl. Go figure, that's a whole nother story. But I will still be sending people his way. They're from the States. And a lot of folks in these cults, it's going to be interesting how this unfolds because there will be all these predators or this predator and his assistants in one room and no one will say anything because people want to save face. They want to keep this image alive of what they represent. No one will cross-reference. The best place to hide something is in plain view because people are too embarrassed to ask the question. People are too embarrassed or don't want to be rude to ask questions, to cross-reference, to do their research. And when you don't find something, to check it out, put the time in. We're not willing to ask enough questions we're not willing to be uncomfortable to uncover the truth. We're willing to take risks. We're willing to take risks. If someone has not gone through a litmus test, would you want to trust your child with them? I took a risk. And me coming to Central America with this person, I took a risk. But in the back of my mind, I was like, if things don't work out, I can break out. I have enough sense of myself, which is a curse word, in that whole cult community. Just the mind program is something else. But I had enough sense of self to ask questions, very respectfully. And when they were uncomfortable and things weren't adding up, just to this very day, there is so much that didn't add up. There's so much, if you folks really look and stop looking at the things that just only the things you want to see, there's so much that doesn't add up. Things don't add up and we proceed anyway. If things don't add up, are you prepared to break out and to leave and not have an allegiance to these folks when you see stuff doesn't add up? Are you willing to risk your young people's sanity? Are you willing to risk the lives of your young people, them being tampered with, you possibly being brainwashed into rationalizing kind of foul behavior and scamming and misuse of young people? Is it worth the risk? Are you willing to have an uncomfortable conversation so you could get to some truth in your common sense? Maybe you'll never know all the details of what happened. But do you mean to tell me folks can't figure out within themselves? We don't have enough faith, which is appearing. We don't have enough faith in ourselves when it doesn't add up. I may not know all the details, but something is not right here. Something is not right. But we've gotten so comfortable with all the different levels of the programs, whether it's the church, you've grown up with it the whole time, so you don't question it anymore. We were raised, don't question God. you know. So we think we're escaping it when we go to, you know, it's a black version. So you don't question it. We don't question it because it's black. It comes in a form that we like. So we refuse to question it. So young people are being used and their babies and stuff. It's being used to eventually through the back door to get you to give donations. The food is the lure. The basketball is the lure. Again, Jim Jones used basketball to lure young people in. Folks are looking at what the predator looks at. What does this person like? Is it candy? Is it women? Is it their vices for food? What is it that is it like you need attention? Very, very, very savvy. And so the reality is they'll go for your insecurities and your vices. And some of these things, without people opening their mouths, they can trigger into because they're extremely savvy. And so we're loyal. What is it that we're loyal to? You know, we have a loyalty to what? We have a loyalty to what has not been vetted. You know, how do we qualify these people to lead? The very things that this man said, he told us a lot of truth, but they're universal truths that are mixed in with a lot of manipulation. He said that he said so much. It's too much that I could say, but we're watching passively as this goes on. So it's interesting to see. I'm not really expecting anyone to say anything that this predator will be in the room or have his representatives at the room at this health fair. But I'm very clear. This is how this continues to go on. When we see these people around, nobody questions and there's zero accountability. They don't get a physical consequence. They don't get a financial consequence. Nobody puts them on blast. People are too embarrassed or not willing to be uncomfortable to put these folks on blast and to do a thorough investigation on the young people that are in there. You know, this is not just about money or a health program that my sister and I left. Let me be very clear. This is not just about money. If I'm sitting around and I'm watching what's happening to other families that have come in there, and I'm watching what's going on with young women, and I'm not there to falsely accuse, but when I start seeing stuff in the characteristics, how the women are being handled, and the justifications, there's no way I can sit there. That in addition is what had us get up and leave. This man has no business with somebody came in for 16 for her mother to secure her. And now we're watching, you know, this is the grooming. You slowly start introducing, we're seeing this man have this woman, this young girl sitting on his lap. For us to sit there, we're complicit. There are numerous times I watch certain things happen. The women, the wives will sit around and say nothing. Mom, nothing. A lot of times they're sitting there like zombies and say nothing. Nothing. I'm watching. This man, no offense, this is not, I'm not being sarcastic, but if I'm watching this man, this may sound horrible. If I'm watching his male parts or genitals almost sagging down to the floor in his 70s, and this is this young girl, she doesn't get a chance at life. Okay, let's say he's mating folks. Wouldn't it make sense that if he's looking for mates, that this would be the mate of his son? You know, and it's like, then I'm watching this man, you know, he's grinding up on her. Okay, that's his mate. Then he's got her sitting on his lap. The women are sitting, well, not only that, the women are sitting around watching it, saying nothing and encouraging it. There are reasons we're in it that's beyond money, people. Everything hasn't come out on the internet, but I can guarantee you we're not in there. I'm not in there for a reason. This is bigger than fruits and vegetables. The fruits and the vegetables and the basketball is the lure to bring people in. But as I'm watching the treatment of the women, what's being said about African-American women who pretty much are financing his whole thing, as I'm watching the cash cows and as he's manipulating the men folks with issues with their own fathers and as their cash cows, I'm watching his as he keeps the people in the pipeline and other cash cows to bring money and you know, pictures that are being painted to other mothers with children. There's a reason that we're not in there. It's not just about a healing program, which is I'm familiar with healing programs of herbs. So I know that peanuts and ripe bananas are not a healing program. So without giving you everything and just running through the muck of the internet, you know, we just watch. People are not connecting the dots. And I get it, because some people really don't know unless you are specific. But it can't be at the expense of me and my family being a martyr for people's entertainment. Folks, open your eyes and vet people. because it's going down again. This is not the first time. When you allow predators in the space and people don't know who they are, we are giving credibility to predators by not saying anything. Women are complicit when we don't say anything. Nothing wrong with gardening. Nothing wrong with raw fruits and vegetables. That's not the problem. The manipulation of young people is the problem. The grooming people for anchor babies is the problem. The fact that none of their parents know what these young people who are now married in there, the 3 young Belizeans that are married, don't know nothing about the process they went through. They have no clue about the process of what their young people went through. And the patterns are 110% off. Some of the mothers, I've spoken to some of the mothers and some of the parents in there. Said, you think I wanted my son to be in there? They've been brainwashed. The best they can hope for is that their children are healthy. So these are some lessons. Are we going to get the lesson? If you don't get the lesson, it's going to continue because people refuse to get uncomfortable and ask the question. This is about lynching people? No. We refuse to be uncomfortable and ask the question. We're too concerned with being rude. It's no different than a child that doesn't want somebody to hug on them, and we make the child override their internal instincts and allow people to hug and to touch on them before they are ready. This man, his mate, told me, his top queen, so-called queen mother, you're just supposed to trust the high priest. Imagine somebody telling you you're just supposed to trust the high priest. Trust and respect is earned. It is earned. It's mutual. It's mutual. There's so many games that are being played here. But it's going to continue as long as we continue to give them a pass to run and operate. Because when you don't say anything, we're teaching the young people that these people are safe. This cult person is safe. This blind man is safe. Who cares if he's blind? That's not the point. But you folks are not connecting the dots. How many have done the research? Okay, you don't have time to go through all the videos. There's an extensive list. Have you gone through to see any of the patterns of these cults? Don't just go on my opinion. Have you looked at his contemporaries? Because I guarantee you, you will see patterns that are 110% on consistent. The isolation, all of it. Quite often, all these people that are going into isolation, they haven't cross-referenced. So while you out there in the internet land, you can use your internet and you can make phone calls and stuff. When somebody's in there, they don't have access anymore. They're being drilled night and day, night and day, night and day. They're made to depend totally for food, clothing, shelter, any kind of movement, sexually. Everything is dependent on the cult leader. So as I observe, without making people wrong, I can see why people say that, think it's so just plain black and white, because there's a lot of details that people don't have. And we have to be very common sense. You know, sometimes the questions that people ask, you expect me to put all my information out? Hello, people. Cults are dangerous. You cannot trust people that are in a cult, that are brainwashed, because you don't know what they'll do. But again, we're in a fantasy. We're in a fantasy thinking that no one would ever do that. They eat fruits and vegetables. No, they would never take my money. Look, they've got locks. Look how old they are. It's an old man. They would never do it. We underestimate people. We underestimate people and human beings and what they will do. Treat everyone with respect, but with a healthy dose of boundaries. And boundaries look like something. Boundaries look like you don't let people into your personal space. You speak up. You ask questions. If the questions are not answered clearly, boundary. We let people into our space, our hearts, and our mind too quickly. Too quickly. These folks are savvier. They're savvier than us. I can be honest. They're savvier. I'm thinking community. They're savvy. They need folks with a conscience. They need women that care. They need men that are going to be committed or willing to lay down their lives. This is not black and white, people. People are all being manipulated. It's like, it makes the stomach flutter. It's only but so much that people that have come out of cults could say, because it's traumatizing. Once you really start to wake up and you start to see the patterns, it's traumatic. But what's really bothersome, and that's an understatement of a word, is as you're watching, they never stop. They are relentless. They're driven. This is not the average person that you're speaking to. So when folks make the error of thinking we're on the same level, no, because their mind is wired to be savvy to extract as much as they can out of each person, out of the women, out of the young people. This man will use anybody, his own children. Dig it, folks. There's a lot that we couldn't say. So folks were looking at us in that first video and seeing me speaking of my sister, so hooked on being polite. There's stuff that you can't see. The camera went off. You can't see what's going on in there, people. I get that we want to hold on to the image of the Black family and all this. I get the imagery. But in reality, these are human beings. And human beings have the capacity to do all kinds of things. We don't have the luxury and the wiggle room, really. We don't have the wiggle room for any more abuse and manipulation. It's like we don't know if we're coming or going, which is one of the reasons why we're open to anything. We're like, oh, screw it. And it's like we're talking about white supremacy. There's Black versions of the same thing. The manipulation and killing. So I don't know who's going to stand up and who's going to do something. I don't know who folks are concretely going to be concerned about our safety, because we see that those people, oh, that's happening to those people over there. I don't know who's going to do something. What can we do? You can take the time to educate yourself. Those that are not over here right now in Central America, you can educate yourself about this man. If you don't know anything, don't just take my word. Do your research. But look to, even if you can't find anything on the internet, look at different examples of it so you can see the patterns. It's very, very important. What else can you do? You can be willing to be uncomfortable. It could be boyfriends, uncles, whatever. Ask the questions. Ask the questions. Don't be so, I would invite you not to be so concerned about somebody being rude. Respectful is one thing, but be uncomfortable. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable so you can you can see the patterns. We're not willing to be rude or because it's the elder, somebody older, and they slide right under the radar and right in your face. If you allow them in a public space with young people and other people, and if the adults don't say anything, or those that have any kind of experience or that care, if you don't say anything, they can run amok. They can run amok. Litmus tests, require litmus tests, background checks. This man has been reported to the embassy before. But oh, that couldn't be. Our leaders, our elders. Has anybody taken a look to see around? Everybody that's a father is not good. Everybody that's a mother is not a good, nice person because they're Black with locks eating fruits and vegetables. Hitler ate fruits and vegetables, was vegetarian at one time. You've got some of these, he wrote in his book, there's different Nazi camps that have eaten raw foods. Come on, we got to wake up. Or not. Or not. You know, I just watch. It's a lesson. There's so many lessons that are available. This has come to the surface for us to see. When we continue to go like this, like we're watching something in virtual reality and thinking that it has nothing to do with us, that it's not indirectly connected to us, or what? What are you going to do, folks? And people are asking me, don't just ask me, ask people, ask yourself. Is there anything that I should be doing? Is there anything I can do to contribute? Do I even care? This is how they're able to continue to run amok. There's zero accountability. People are not willing to be uncomfortable and ask the question. When they're in a predator in the room, they don't deserve access to women and children. They don't deserve access to sex. They don't deserve it. They're not honorable. They don't deserve anything with their lack of transparency in business dealings. They don't deserve it. It's up to us to require boundaries when dealing with people. Clear agreements. Lack of transparency. When you find some folks have a problem with being questioned, I know you folks got, a lot to do with your time. One little video. Be careful. I don't recommend that you buy the music. If I could even play like a sample of some of the music, you could hear like, wow, that's what you're buying. It's not about the fact that it sounds whack and it's not melodic or whatever. It's very repetitive and it is used to brainwash people. Not unlike the other music that's out here. But these guys they're savvier than you. That's the reality. They're savvier. They have an agenda. And we're assuming that folks don't have an agenda, and they do. So if we continue to watch passively, they'll continue to go on. They're going to be at a health fair. They're going to use the young Belizeans with their babies because we like women and children. We want to see a so-called black family. That's the symbolism and the stuff that's hiding underneath it. That's no difference than any other cults that exist within our community. Please look at the one video. How did you become a high priest? Listen, or was it when did you become a high priest, or how did you become a high priest? Listen to the answer and replay it 3 times. Listen. Actively listen. Don't just hear physically. Listen. Critically think. Who made you? Just look at that one video and see what you can come up with. You don't know these people. You don't even know their legal names. But I can tell you what I saw with the young woman there, other women that have come forward, we haven't even scratched the surface. If it was still so great and I hadn't seen anything, I would still be in there if it was such a utopia. I'm not one to falsely accuse someone. And if somebody has been raised into a cult, that's all that they know. If your mother, your father is a cult leader, what can you do? Is that their fault? It's not their fault. But they have an allegiance. The women in there have an allegiance to the cult leader. It is what it is. Their resources are gone. They have anchor babies in there. He's seen all these other generations of these other people around here. This cat is savvy. But when we allow them in a public space and we allow people to feel comfortable, then we are setting the tone when they are not questioned. So it's not something that makes me feel good. I don't know that I can't. It doesn't sit right within my being to know that somebody is a predator and not say anything. But this is how a lot of us are rocking, how a lot of us are getting down. You know, it's not for me, the person that took a chance to put on a video to come up with all the solutions. This is like me going to PTA meetings and people think that the one person that has a voice should be coming up with all the solutions. It's about us active. Everybody out there, just like everybody can grow plants, it's not beyond you. Even if you're in an apartment, you can grow some food. Everybody can do something to ensure that our community, that there's a shift and that we create a safe space. Everybody can do something. It's not up to the government or to other people, up to those girls on the internet. Everybody can do something to contribute. And if we think that if we can't come with any kind of creativity, anything to think of, I don't know what it's going to be for you. It doesn't even have to be complicated. But there can be something tangible. Everybody can do something or come up with some kind of idea from this melanated brain that we want to, brag about so much. Everybody can come up with something, a litmus test, a question, something that we can do to shift and create some healthy boundaries within our own community first. Because if we don't create it here, we're not going to get it anywhere because we're allowing anything to happen. So we're teaching people and folks, how to treat us. Somebody asked a question recently, how did you expect respect from somebody that you gave $10,000 for? And it's like, do we get off on just coming on the platforms and just being sarcastic? What is that doing? Are you hoping to share some information that will enlighten me? It's like, is that enough for us just to be sarcastic? Yeah, I said something really witty. Okay, now what? Okay, you said your piece, and now what? What did you leave? How did you leave the situation better? Did you enlighten me? Did you share a tip? Did you share something, leave something behind for a young person? Is that enough for us just to be sarcastic? You know what I'm saying? Is it just enough for us to leave the room and just we get off? We're sarcastic. Okay, we've used our wits and our brain, this wonderful machine, problem-solving machine, to be sarcastic. That's it? That's all we got? That's all we got, folks? We can't come up with anything? We can't come up with any ideas to ensure our safety as a people? Turn on the volume on a religion and your preferred religion for a second and turn up your common sense, because that's in each and every one of us. You have that. When folks make you think you don't have any common sense and you can't come up with any solutions because it doesn't come through a particular book, it's a wrap. So you mean to tell me we don't have any confidence and faith? We can't make any decisions without a book? We can't figure out how to treat people? We can't figure out how to protect the children? Really, mothers? Really, aunties? Really, sisters? Really, menfolk? Okay, we can say what we don't want. What do we want? What can you all come up with? I've taken the risk to put it out. You don't have to take my word for it. Do your research. When in doubt, leave it out. Because young people, they're looking for something. That's not wrong. Obviously, they're looking because something at home is lacking, and that's what's being exploited. That's what's being exploited. Our very natural human desires for community, to be with each other. Okay, yes, we've been through a lot. There's layers and layers and layers and layers. Certain things are not our fault, but it's our responsibility to heal. And when we put it in other people's hands, we're asking for trouble. We're asking to be manipulated. When we don't require a level of transparency. Right now, any money that you spend is going to be used to manipulate you, to get folks to go down to a pyramid. We're so caught up in the symbolism. We got so much symbolism in ankhs and religions and bindi dots and head wraps that we don't have. No, we got so much symbolism in outfits and locks and hairstyle and no common sense. We can't figure out how to protect children, women and children, because those boy children will grow up to adults. Is it too much hard work to implement our common sense? Is common sense and a sense of self? Yes, I said it. I know these videos are being watched by his camp. It's a sense of self, simple, that allowed me to get up, to risk not fitting into the sisterhood. And what are they going to say? That allowed me to get up and walk out. I'm still eating fruits and vegetables. I'm still eating raw living foods. If I wanted to eat something else, I would, if I felt it was healthy. But that's what I was eating before I came there. I had an interest in growing food before I came there. I'm still doing it. I don't need that outside validation to do that. You folks are contributing. It's not about being a hater. If he has 99 acres of land, he figured it out. Great. But all these folks in so-called Babylon, you know what I'm saying? The whatever, everybody that's on a lower level and a lower self, you're feeding these predators. And more so than anything, we're allowing a climate for them to be comfortable moving around. They're comfortable moving around because there's no financial or physical consequence. Again, I'm not encouraging somebody to go out and hurt somebody. But when predators know they can get away with it, they continue because there's no consequence. So we don't need mothers and aunties. We don't need 20 million books and 20 million perspectives to figure out how to protect women and children. If we're so thirsty for attention, and I get it. I get it. Many of us want to be in it. It just has nothing to do with hating black men or hating on each other. Where we should all have in common, whether you have children that have come through your womb or your loins or not, is protection of women and children, because when you protect those women and children, you're protecting you. But here's the catch. You're thinking they're being protected in there, but we're trading one program for another. One religion after another religion. Okay, you think you're done with religion, then you go to the spiritual groups and the rhetoric. And rhetoric, we are so bogged down with rhetoric that I think it's like the brain has exploded. We can't tell if we're coming or going. We are like it's like a clogged colon. We have so much rhetoric, talking in circles and be thou though and chakras and colors till we all rhetoric out. My grandpa used to say, "You're so smart, you're stupid." He used to say, "What you gonna do with all that book learning?" We got books upon books upon books, and the children are being violated, and people are being scammed, financially scammed. Yes, financial. It's not just about money. Mentally manipulated. We're bragging about now being brainwashed. This is what it's come to. So I can't say what you're going to do about it. I don't know if you're called or quote unquote convicted, all these trigger words we're throwing around, to do anything. I don't know if you do, all of these, everybody with the head wraps. I'm just really wondering, mothers. I'm wondering, women. Why don't we just say, you know what? I just want a man. I want a man, so hey, he can do whatever to the children. As long as I got a man. Why don't we just leave it at that? I'm not willing to do anything as long as I got my man and I'm feeling psychologically appeased that I got some attention and somebody's paying attention to me. I'm old, I don't have a child, so protecting the children is not really a priority. They can run amok and do whatever because I got my man. Or why don't we just say, I never had a father. This man is showing me how I can get me a woman I can control and do whatever that's just there for me. Even though I don't have to clean up. It makes me feel better. Feel about being better about being a man, being the white society doesn't do anything. So I'm cool with that. So I don't really care what happens to everybody else. As long as we're appeased and our egos are stroked. It's just good enough. And so I don't know if folks we just admit, we ain't going to do nothing. We're not going to do anything. The children are just not a priority. And we have the audacity to point a finger at the next generation. Or it's really like they're on their own. And then we're surprised that they go off to the camps. These predators are savvier than you. They're savvier, you know, savvier, they're more manipulative than you. They're different levels. They're more manipulative than you. They're savvier. They refine their technique. They look at how other folks are busted or whatever, and they refine their technique. This one is laid back in the cut, but he's only one of many. You still go out and buy the records of people that have, you know, are urinating on young girls, or any of us as women. And I get it. I get it. Women are manipulated, and we allow ourselves. Do we stop when you're so in it? We're so in it. Do we allow our daughters to be groomed at 15 and 16 into these relationships? Look around, people. Look around. There's enough examples. A lot of things I think today that so very true. They have a man, and any man don't care. I'm not here to bash women, single men. I'm not. I'm just here to point out, just from my simple perspective, how it happens. I get it, but compassion doesn't mean complacency. Just because you're compassionate, it's an understanding. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying go out and lynch people, but when you understand, because I have affection for you, I can distinguish my affection from allowing you around the children. I can distinguish, I care about these people in my community, but that doesn't mean I'm going to allow you to scam me because I love you. I'm not going to sit in silence while you run amok and manipulate young girls, young women who come for a whole nother reason, that are looking for education or learn about herbs or learn about their culture, and you manipulate them. We're not there for a reason, folks. Y'all don't know the half. There's a reason that we're not in there. There's a reason I'm not in there. It's a bunch of human beings. Some are savvier than others at manipulation. Some it's an art. People have their gifts or their art, or I don't even know what's called it, a gift. The qualities that are very, very strong within them. But it's not about saying it's more the men, it's more the women. There's a way that predators know how to manipulate women, and they're coming for the men too. So they get you when you think that, if you think you don't have a vulnerability, anybody that is tuned into this channel, if you think you don't have a vulnerability, you don't have an insecurity that can be exploited, I invite you to think again. I invite you to ask yourself, right? Because this is a culture of going like this and watching from behind, you know, the cell phone or the iPad. We're just living vicariously through others. Do we really think we don't have insecurities, or people want to say issues, or just anything, or traumas as a people that can't be exploited? That's where we get got. And the cost of getting got is we allow these people to move and function seamlessly within our community. Unbothered, untouched. We're too busy and too distracted, so they run amok. So it's for, I invite folks, look at the one video. Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up on you see, because you see what you want to see. That's how they get you. Nothing wrong with a garden. Start your own garden from where you are. Get grow lights if you have to, if you're in an apartment. People in other parts of the world where they don't have many hours of light are doing vertical growing. I was in a gardening group in the States. If you want to garden, you can garden. If you want to travel, you can travel. This is not mystical, magical. Some of these posts online showing you pictures of banana trees and fruit. It's like looking at pigeons. They're all over the place. And depending on the part of the world, they don't even require any work. I can throw watermelon seeds and papaya seeds down. I've done it. And gotten over 35 papaya trees. When people know you don't have a frame of reference, that's how you get got. But we, in our training from the West, we come thinking, oh, I know. Oh, I did that. We name drop. They love it. They love it. When you come just talking so much about what you got and what you know and what you know, what you've been through, then you're not asking any questions. You're not asking any questions. Perfect. Perfect. You don't even know what hit you. These folks, this man is savvier than you. A con artist and someone that manipulates people on massive levels is more professional than you. It's the things that you're not seeing. They count on this. If you come to the table bragging about what you know, then you didn't ask any questions. But is there anything that I don't know? We come to these forums, you come online, and we want to feel important and smart. That's not wrong. We want to feel important and smart. Oh, I know that. That can never. You don't ask any questions. You leave you leave watching something. You didn't get anything new, any new education. This is a way of thinking. This is a mentality. They count on your mentality, because your mentality and your subconscious and your habitual way of thinking and approaching problems or problem solving or lack thereof can be counted on. I don't have to share any information. I'm sharing that out of a sense of personal responsibility. This is bigger than money. It's bigger than money. We're sitting around and allowing people that are known to cause damage, which has a ripple effect in our society, in our culture, in our collective. Even though we're a diaspora, we're allowing folks to function and continue to go unchecked, uncross-referenced. People won't take the time to read, to cross-reference. We don't want to be uncomfortable. One parent told me, I know enough about cults already. Oh, okay. So once folks say that they know it all and they've got all the solutions, that can never happen to them, how much more videos should I put out? But I'm putting it out because there are young people, and I'm nobody's savior, but there have been several. I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked and amazed. There have been a couple of people that come through the back door that have said, thank you so much. No different than some of these other cult things that said, I was about to go down there. Why are you paying for their 99 acres of land? Why are you paying for their music? Somebody's telling you music is brainwashing. I was in there committed doing fundraisers. If there's a doubt in your mind, because there are people, that's the dilemma. So I invite you, contribute to the conversation. It doesn't have to be now. Come on, what can folks come up with? When it comes to our people, what kind of healthy boundaries should we have? Have we ever thought about it? What kind of healthy boundaries should we have amongst our people? Is another program. We got people. We know that folks within our families and our community, there's a lot of them. We just make excuses, but we never address it. What kind of healthy boundaries? What kind of, when I say a boundary is, this is not allowed with the children. There's a sister that I heard say something, and it's like, you can learn something from anybody. And she said when she had slumber parties with her children, with her daughters, her man was not allowed around when she had those slumber parties. Now, from a man's perspective, father's perspective, they're going to feel like, wow, I can't do certain things in my own house. She set a boundary. She set a clear boundary. If anything ever happened, no one would ever be able to say that her husband did anything. And also, she made sure that no one, not even her own man, would have access to children and young girls like that. I remember a woman in my family years ago that when we were going out just on GP, she said, come on. I was like, oh, but her man was there, her husband, it's a family member. She didn't leave me in the house with her husband. I never forgot that. See, these are, rather than talking, these are just simple examples of boundaries that folks must be checked, that they're not left alone with children, or that there's some clear guidelines. These guidelines, it is to our benefit to come up with some guidelines, some critical thinking when it comes to business and dealing with folks. So there's a full transparency. Folks quite often have come online and asked us, how much is a piece of land? How much is a piece of land? You're so quick and thirsty, that's how you get got. Did you check a realtor? Did you do any research on people that relocate to the country of your preference? We want a quick ease. We want something quick and easy, and not willing to do any research on our own. And these predators see you coming. They're more savvy than you. They hide stuff right in front of your face. Once you start putting on the clothes and you feel you're so appeased because you feel a part of something, what black person especially doesn't feel part of something, especially if it's something positive, has something to do with family and what you didn't have. Who doesn't want to be a part of that? But once you're appeased, your guards go down. So now once you're in it and you see something not off, well, that couldn't be. We all invested in the same outfits. We wear our hair the same. We're all praying in the same way. Couldn't be. What you gonna do, mothers? What you gonna do, fathers? Once you're in it, it's challenging. We are underestimating psychological programming. I don't think many of us are taking the time to really understand how our brain works, what drives our behavior. This is not an insult. This is basic. We're not taking the time to understand basic human psychology, to understand how people are manipulated, how you can get people to fight wars, how you can get people to take a drug. So the responsibility is on us because it is being hidden in plain sight. Again, as Joseph Robinson said to me, as he quoted from Hitler, tell a lie, make the lie so big that no one would ever believe that you're telling that lie. That was from Mein Kampf, Hitler's, I think it's autobiography. When a person is telling you about conning, don't take my word for it. Do your research. Don't, if I told you right now, a quarter of an acre land costs this much because you so much, you have an appetite, something that you want, that's how you'll get got. Do your research, cross-reference, be willing to invest in yourself. Be willing to spend a couple of dollars so you don't get scammed. Don't just be thinking because somebody, oh, they cool, they down in the area before you, they're going to hook you up. You can't see what's going on the other end. That's why my mother wouldn't let me spend the night over people's house when I was young. She said, you don't know what they're doing over the house. There's some simple wisdom that makes you not use your critical thinking, and there's some that's really pretty basic and spot on. You can't see how these folks are living in their own houses, and you're giving wide open free range to predators that I miss. And once you have given them you've given them the green light to operate in full sight, once you do that, it's hard to pull it back in. You can't pull it back in because now you've let them run amok amongst the young people and the children, and we said it was okay. We didn't put anybody on heightened alert. Not to mistreat them, but to like, don't know about this person, they're not safe. When you allow that, you have given them the credibility. That's one of the biggest things. When you give these predators credibility, when you give these so-called leaders and elders credibility, you don't know their history of molestation. You don't know their history of what they've so-called done in other countries, their business dealings. You don't know their history. You haven't cross-referenced them, not only with the computer and online, you haven't cross-referenced them with people. Not people that bought just maybe a plate of food or a book from them that they didn't read. People that live with them. Numerous people have reached out to us. If the videos were not online, we wouldn't have had a fraction of the people reach out to us that you'll never see. People are so traumatized, they never speak up. People that say they know people from years ago that went in there with Joseph Robinson, Kwatamani. You think the young people in there know that? They're not privy to that information. Another technique, these new cats that are coming on, somebody new comes into these cults, they haven't cross-referenced with people that are the same age or that know this person's background. They didn't do any cross-referencing. They see 1 or 2 videos, they get excited, and then they go. So hopefully, folks, you know, the information is put out there to share with you. So you don't have to agree with me. Again, I am not asking for donations. I'm not asking for approval or validation from anyone. I lived in there. So nobody could tell me, even the parents of folks that are in there, because I'm a parent that had offspring in there and was in there. So the other folks that were not in there, that don't live in there, don't know what goes on. And even when you're living in there, folks are often in isolation from each other. There's so much folks don't know the half. We can only say so much at a time. And yes, when folks come online asking us about how much is an acre of land or this or that, you're asking, you didn't even check to see if we're safe. So until women and children can be safe, mothers, aunties, come up with something yesterday to make sure there's litmus test to make sure you are protected, because that's a reality. We don't have it to be romantic and religious and not be concerned about your safety, because quite often the religions teach you to not hold the con artist or the predator accountable. You're praying and chanting for the predator as well as sending your money. So your safety at this point is your responsibility. It's unfortunate. It'd be wonderful if there's some folks that just have the decency to protect women and children on just a basic level and to question everything that comes around. We don't need to be controlled. Anyone that's trying to control you, that's a question. And it's become very apparent. It's like a rush. It's a mad rush to control the wombs, the money, the resources, and the minds of women and children and young men and men as soldiers to protect these guys. All these predators look for a camp. They need a crew of people to protect them, you know. They need some young men or just some men that's so dedicated they don't have a father they're going to lay down their lives for. All of this is very classic. These guys, these predators, Joseph Robinson is more savvy than you. He's going to be, you know, all predators got to eat. They got money. They have schemes. They need to eat. The music will be used to brainwash you. They'll be at a function tomorrow, the health fair. A lot of people in Belize haven't even seen the video. A lot of people won't say anything. We've done our part. We've put videos out. That's the best that we can do. We have to be concerned about our safety because no one else is. And I say concern, that will take an action to ensure that we are safe at a basic level. Whether you agree or not, our safety is of the utmost priority to us. We care about us more than people that just want to be entertained and just sit around and look at a screen. If I didn't care about young folks, I wouldn't say anything. It's not my ideal to be saying that this stuff is going on, but it's a reality. Wake up. This is not one isolated incident. And yes, folks have asked different questions. Some folks said, why don't I go in there and save this person and that person? That's a fantasy. When am I going to go put on a cape and go to another cult and drag somebody out? That's not how this works. We're in a fantasy. That's how panicked we are. We're in a fantasy. Somebody's going to go drag somebody out of a cult. That's not my job. But my responsibility, when you see something, say something. Question things. Ask for transparency. Note the patterns. When you ask a question, if it's being answered indirectly with rhetoric, go. Look at the one video. How did you become a high priest? Listen, rewind 3 times and listen. Don't be sucked in because you want a garden. You want a garden, make a garden. They got 99 acres of land. You want to send some donations over there? I invite you not to because you're funding predators. Yes, predators have children. Yes, people born in cults don't know anything but the cult. It's not their fault. Yes, people in the cult, I don't care how much fruits and vegetables, will hurt you. Now, am I walking around paranoid and fear? No, I can't. I don't have the luxury. People have asked me that. How can you? Because I have to move and I have to live. Harriet Tubman did too. I don't have the luxury to sit in fear, waiting for somebody to come save me. So we can. What is the rest of the community going to do? Whether you have children that come to your womb or not, what's everybody else going to do? What's your responsibility to do? Are we sitting here waiting to pray, on the mystery God to come and fix it all while we sit and do nothing? When we allow these people to function unchecked, we have given them credibility. As women, we give them credibility. We don't say anything. We don't require a litmus test. Don't take my word for it. You look at the results. You tell me what you see. It's come forward for us to see. It's all there. How many more entertainers? This is not just Rose Robinson, cultural conscious. There's been a culture of worshiping musical personalities, people that will do all kinds of stuff, mutilate themselves and plain. It's not a condemnation on them, but it's in plain sight. The best place to hide something is in plain sight and to normalize it. We've all been groomed as a culture. We've been groomed to accept abuse. We've been groomed not to question abuse. We've been groomed not to question pastors. We've been groomed not to question politicians. We've been groomed not to question the imam. We've been groomed not to question the rabbi. We've been groomed not to question the one with the more curly cues and the religious outfits and the most aunts and the biggest aunt. You've been groomed not to question. Don't question God. That's blasphemy. Don't do that, child. It keeps morphing. It keeps switching form, but the substance is the same. So for any of us that think we haven't been groomed, I invite you to think again. I'm not here to tell grown folks what to do, but I'm here to tell you very clearly. I'm watching. I'm sitting back and I'm watching. We put ourselves out there. What can each one of us come up with to ensure the safety and the protection of women and children and transparency in our business dealings? Or we're so wanting to be liked. You're right, and that's a big part of the problem. We have all been groomed. Yeah, can we admit it? Can we admit it? Can we admit it? Is that all we're going to do with the internet? Groomed to think that it's good. You got that right. Can we admit? Can we admit? See, if you can't acknowledge something, when I tell you these cult predators are savvy, I'm not kidding. But when you think they can't be savvy, they ain't smart than me. That can never be happening. Best place to hide something is in plain sight. Again, there's going to be a health fair here in Belize in Central America tomorrow, all day. And for everybody is going to sit around and pretend that this person, that the cult leader is not there. He's savvy. I'm sure he's going to watch this video right now. He knows people ain't going to do anything. He knows people in the States are not going to do anything. Everybody's too busy. People might not know what to do. But if folks get quiet, then what can we do in our personal lives? Are you going to question folks? Are you willing to be uncomfortable? Not disrespectful. You could be respectful and uncomfortable and ask the question. Are we willing to get uncomfortable? This has all come to the surface so we can see it, stop rationalizing it, so you can see how we have been rationalizing it. We have the opportunity to see how all this stuff is functioning and how we are participating. We get upset with white folks. We get upset with white folks when they say, y'all kill each other too. Y'all had slavery too. Come on now, think of another perspective. You know what? They're right. They're right. Doesn't excuse them from what culturally and that history, but they're right. We have so much of a need to feel validated and to heal. That's what's being exploited. That's what's being exploited. We're so thirsty, the predator knows what your psychological, emotional needs are. They're tuned into your needs. These companies are tuned into your needs. They're tuned into what you want more than anything. They're tuned into, if anyone has ever worked in sales or understands marketing psychology, they're tuned into your pain factor. A predator, someone trying to sell you something, a good salesman, is tuned into your pain factor. If they know more than anything, you have low esteem, or you have a esteem deficit, and you feel lonely, and you want to feel like everybody else is attractive, and they've got mates and people coming after them. I want you to. Then you'll go out and you'll spend $150 for some makeup powder. You'll risk the health of your brain and your baby for a chemical because the pain factor is psychological. If you want to be wanted and you don't feel chosen, you don't feel attractive by stand. So the pain factor, no different. Predators understand your pain factor, male or female. So if you can't sit, and maybe you've never had, maybe it's never occurred to you, look, what's my pain factor or the insecurity within me that can be exploited? It's going right over our heads. I'm not here to make us wrong. I'm not here to condemn anyone. It's a perk. I don't have to condemn anyone. I'm not here to condemn anyone. I'm not feeling the behavior. I don't hate anyone. But at the same time, I have an extreme dislike for what has been done and the misuse of the position of father and elder and the rationalization, because the fruits and vegetables and stuff and the gardening, that's right. So now I should give a pass to the manipulation of Black women, other people with their organs. I should give a pass because you did some nice stuff. Come on, this is simple. But we're not connecting the dots. Sometimes I'm just waiting for you folks to see, like, all the stuff that's been laid there. Some folks, the police haven't seen the videos. You know how long the videos? Look at the dates. We don't look at details. We don't look at numbers. We speak in emotion. We miss the details, but look, here's the details. They go right over our head. And I get it, because we're constantly emotionally triggered. We're emotionally triggered. You get blinded. You can get in such a rage. Yes, I was upset when I was in front of that pair. My son was in there, people. What would you do? I'd like to know what any of you folks that are so spiritual would do if you start stuff and you say, we got to get out of here. We have got to get out of here. And then your son, is kept separate from you, is being manipulated. It's like you don't even, what would you do? My son was in there that day. I have zero apologies. Listen, anything you say can and will be used against you. We got it. These people are strategic. We're not strategic as a people. We talk a good game, but we're not strategic at all. And we're constantly being played. It's like, folks, get online and run a train on us on our brain, white and Black. We're so easy to be manipulated and thinking that we can't, because our emotions are constantly being played. So it takes a lot to choose your word to the best of your ability. I'm not out here to be perfect. I'm not asking for permission. I'm sharing the information because that's what I'm called to do. If it was great, I'd still be in there. But the women who have anchor babies, where they going? You think a woman's going to turn around and leave her children? You think it's that easy? You think the predators are savvier than you? They know the pain factors. They study it. They refine it. They're studying human psychology. We're not. Some of us may feel like we don't have the time. But it's time for us to, yesterday, set a litmus, if nothing else. Whatever house of worship or whatever you want to call it, that's not the main concern. Is that because these children represent you, not to be guilted into it, but as responsible adults, what will be the litmus test for questioning folks and be willing to be uncomfortable, respectful, but uncomfortable in asking questions that need to be asked and requiring a level of transparency. There's a distinction between knowing every detail of a person's life. Man, I need to know that, but transparency in some key areas. When it comes to criminal records, financial records, business contracts, safety. When folks can't answer questions, they give you rhetoric, red flag. Red flag. Red flag. Again, the example that I'm watching about to go down, this is not the United States. This is a smaller area. I'm about to watch tomorrow this same Joseph Robinson. He's got a couple of the young Belizeans who have now married into his camp, who have already been hazed and broken and have a loyalty and they have babies, come sit at a table and give their food. The Lord is the food in the basketball. I know it sounds so simple. It sounds like that doesn't make sense. Again, the struggle in your mind is like, come on now, are you being negative? It has nothing to do with negativity. We're so caught in the good, bad. Put the feelings and emotions and look, this is how Jim Jones did it. Again, go look and see who made you and how did you become a high priest. Just that one video. Don't get sucked into the other stuff. Listen to it 3 times and tell me where you can hear the distinct answer. Look at the video of, was our ancient Kemetic ancestors. Well, not even. You don't even have to go through the whole video. Were we worshiping as an avocado? Were we are worshiping the phallus? Or we are worshiping avocado? I sometimes just wait for folks to connect the dots. I'm waiting. But as some folks said to me, I didn't know. I didn't know. Those videos have been sitting here for a long time now. We did these videos a while back. And it wasn't easy to do the videos. It's traumatizing people. But I also understand, I have compassion that folks don't have a frame of reference. Even though we think we're so smart and it can never happen to us, I'm the last person to think that, that I would be had by somebody. But my way of thinking, I'm thinking of a positive community, fruits and vegetables, safety, good examples. I couldn't bank on this other person. But if I had not been there and lived inside, for folks that want to comment, I lived in there, not asking for your permission or your validation. I'm here to say that predators are allowed to be comfortable. They're made to feel comfortable. And so this is how they move around unchecked. What can you all come up with? What can each of us, whether you have children come to your womb or not, what can we come up with to ensure safety and how we deal with each other? Transparency in business dealings, a transparency particularly when it comes to the safety of women and children. Because when folks feel like there's a physical or financial consequence, it's only predators respond to consequences only. People understand consequences. The crazy person on the train knows who to go for. This is an age where people pull out their cell phones and just look. People are paralyzed, like I don't know what to do. So I just watch. But while you're watching, thinking it can't be, it won't be you, just a matter of time before it spreads over to you. As you're watching somebody be violated and you do nothing, you really think that that's not happening to you? Can it happen to you? I invite you to ask, what's your pain factor? What's the thing that could be manipulated within you? Because again, they'll tell you the person that thinks they can't get got is the very person that can get got. Societally, we've been groomed. We've been groomed, particularly as a people. And that's just the fact of it. It has nothing to do with nice or pleasant. It just is what it is. I can distinguish now as a more mature adult between somebody having pleasant social skills and they have manners. That's not telling me enough about somebody's character who I don't live with. We don't make distinctions. Just because somebody is pleasant, has a pleasant demeanor, that doesn't mean you know their character. Because they come online or they're in movies, people do act. People put on a show. You don't know who people are. This cat stays laid back in the cut. Got to put the women and the children out front. So key trigger words, first genesis of a new generation. They're playing to what you want to see. You want to see it? Create it on your own. But the best place to hide something is in plain sight. So again, it's going to be a fair. And this is just an example. There's going to be a fair tomorrow. He's going to have representatives of these young people who now have had babies and have been mated into his children. This guy, he will sit on it. He said this. He said, I've been in. I've heard a lot of stuff that's come out of his mouth. Again, why do you think I'm not in there? I can't come spell everything out for folks on the internet. I can't come say everything on the internet, especially when I know people are not even going to do anything. Or it's likely they may not. I don't know. But yeah, these young people will be there. He will sit on it. He will wait. He's very patient. He's very patient. He'll be patient to get the bank account. He'll be patient to break you down. He'll be patient to wait till you're vulnerable and you have no one around. Very, very patient. And there's always people in the pipeline. See, it's the subtleties that folks that are not aware of. It could happen to any of us, especially when your spirit wants a better life. Yeah, it's something, a very natural desire that's being exploited. You know, am I saying anything that's rocket science? I'm not smarter than anyone, but I can tell you right now, some butt-kicking lessons. It's the experience. I don't care how many books, degrees, nobody could tell me what I experienced and what I've seen in there. Nobody. They'll come along. Some people will say that you're this and you have the ego-driven self and blah, 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 and fear. You know, it's not up for debate. I'm not asking for permission. Take the information that's valuable. When you come to this channel, that's the one opportunity that social media provides. You can get educated. You can use it for something beneficial. Educate yourself. Take what resonates for you that will be beneficial that you can share with someone else and move on. But we spend a lot of time going like this and being sarcastic and to show how witty we are and do nothing. Neutralize. These predators count on it. Y'all not going to do nothing. They'll tell you. Ain't nobody coming to look for you. Nobody's coming to save you. This is what predators tell children. But I could tell you one thing. I don't know that her 16-year-old, the youngest mate, the light-skinned sister that's in there, her child would be his mate in his 70s. I don't care. You know, when I asked about it, I was told that, well, King Tut, you know, by any divine means necessary, we have to preserve the bloodline. It's like so much twisted rhetoric. Okay, King Tut, you know, we're talking about Egypt and Kemet to preserve the bloodline. It's so twisted. This is what I'm saying. This stuff will get in your head. You start rationalizing and justifying this stuff. Okay. Somebody's telling you this. Okay, I wasn't around for King Tut and stuff, right? But to me, it ain't appropriate. Maybe when you get older and you're 40s or something like that, 30s or 40s, you want to deal with somebody older, fine. But there's no way 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, even 18-year-olds should be with somebody that's in their 70s. Come on. Again, are we not looking around and seeing? It's here for us to see. Now what you're going to do. Now we're going to do. We've that neutralized. Now what are we going to do? Are we going to continue to allow folks to run a train on us? You finish having your way with me? Okay. Now let the next one have their way with me. Oh, this one, it's like we just allow people to do whatever. And this is something else. As a lot that man said was true. But he's saying universal truth that are being mixed with manipulation. It's a formula. It's a distinct pattern in the formula, regardless of the religious house you're in. Whether you want to believe it or not, you can continue to uphold the thing that is your mental reality. But based on the results and what's happening here on the earth plane, we are being played. Because we don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to appear to be rude, and we want to be politically correct, or we simply want to vent. And we don't want to do anything tangible. So the longing for community, we can have community. But I'm not being community with anybody that's manipulating young people, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, unaware adults, young adults, without a frame of reference. You can't build community with somebody that's willing to scam people that are unaware. That's a fantasy. That is a fantasy. I'm here to tell you, that is a fantasy. Yes, we'll build community by any means necessary. One of the reasons not working is because of the scamming and the manipulation and the misuse of women and children. We've had cults and organizations already. Lack of marks and carols and transparency. It doesn't come out to years later after the fact. If it was for social media, most of us wouldn't even know what's going on in the black cults. We wouldn't even know. You can use the social media to zone out. You can use it to educate yourself. Don't take my opinion. Cross-reference. Take the time. Make the time to educate yourself. We don't want to be the black folks that can't read. They can't read a financial contract. What's our excuse? Somebody say that they haven't been to the bank. Really? In all these years? I mean, come on, people. Someone has been in the bed with children. Who has children in the bed with them that are not their own? That part, the things that we can't contest, we are in a severe denial. And any more denial, and this is what they count on. These predators are not stupid. They're savvier than you. They count on us being so neutralized that you won't do anything. At this point, we're like, we don't know what to do. We're just like, we're neutralized, totally neutralized. All movements that we've had have been aborted. They're very key that we have appetites but not willing to let go. I said something that is very simple. This may sound so overly simple. Sometimes you say stuff so simple that people discount it. That this man, one of the things, a couple of simple things. He'll use your hair, what you eat, and if you worship a white Jesus. These are 3 simple things that are being used by this person to manipulate you. Because people have the cults that they prefer, or the mental escape that they prefer. There's a personality and a profile for every flavor, just like Baskin-Robbins ice cream that you could prefer. You don't like this one, but you like that one. So the cult leader comes to you in a language that you enjoy. I like this cat. Wow, I love the way they speak. You haven't lived with him. You haven't dealt with him with any significant amount of money. You haven't seen him around his mates. If it was all that great, I would still be in there. Might have surrendered everything. But I had not enough sense of self. Tell me some key stuff. I'm just supposed to trust you blindly. I really feel for these young people. It's not that there's not challenges out here in quote unquote Babylon. There's challenges everywhere in life. That's just a natural part of life. But just have surrendered everything. And many of us are willing to surrender everything to not have to think. Because it's too uncomfortable, too hard to think. It's too hard to be responsible. It's not fun. It's boring. The garden is boring to have to do for myself, to have to think for myself, to have to come with, it's boring. I don't want to do that. They count on that. They're savvier than us. So they're not doing anything that we can't do. But I'm telling you this, they will continue because we allow them to run around unchecked because we don't want to have respectful, uncomfortable conversations. And at this point, one thing we can do, I'll take the respect over being liked. I'll take the respect. Respect and responsibility have actions attached to it. I don't need all the fine words. I don't need the ego stroking and the compliments. Oh my God. Oh, sister, you said it, you really can. I mean, to preach. I'm hoping folks can connect the dots. If you folks are even looking at the thumbnails on the videos, there's so much stuff that's in front of your face that folks, and I'm like, I hope people can connect the dots. But it's occurring to me, people just don't know. Just look through the thumbnails. Look through the thumbnails. See, when I say this, maybe they're watching this video, delete it. Look through the thumbnails and see where you see me and my sister in that video. Look through the thumbnails. I mean, several videos, but most people miss the details. You miss the detail. Cult leaders have children too. It's perfect though. Best place to hide something is where? Right in front of your face. No, a cult leader wouldn't hurt their own children. They wouldn't hurt their own people. They wouldn't do that. Best place to hide something in front of somebody's face. So until we are willing to have respectful, uncomfortable conversations and speak up for yourself, no matter how uncomfortable, as long as you're respectful, it will continue. It will continue to operate right in our faces until we are willing to be respectfully uncomfortable and say something and set a standard of safety. Standard and a reality outside of religion. Am I telling everybody? Well, I can't tell you what to do, what you're going to do. But security is a reality. That's one thing I have learned. Security is a reality. We don't want to, again, we don't talk about all of the elephants in the room. Security is a reality. And it's come out of many folks' face. If they're not sleeping with you, they don't have, this is where it's at now. There will be no protection for you. Wish it wasn't so. If that's not, it may not be all, but it's a lot of the climate that's out here. No one is protecting you unless they're sleeping with you. unless you know, you fall into line or whatever the particular doctrine is. What you gonna do, women? What you gonna do, mamas? Shoot, I guess I might have fallen in line with that doctrine. It's a competition for control, for who is going to manipulate the minds, the creativity, and the resources of the women and children, and those boy children will turn into men children. And there's a formula that is used to approach the males, and there's a formula that's used to approach the females to tap into your insecurities. So that's as much as I can say. It takes energy to share. I take a risk by putting this out there to share. This is from my personal experience and my observation. You'll have to come up with your own. Everybody doesn't need to go into a cult to get the experience, young people, just so you can say, I've been there, done that. You know, because quite often people are not banking on the amount of abuse that will come from it. You know, people that are looking for an adventure. You think you're going to come in and you're going to be the one that cracks the cult. These folks are they're savvier than you. It's, you know, it's not a competition. You know, they're savvy. They study human psychology, and you could get got. We have been groomed. We have been groomed, and until you admit that something is there, you can't change something. You can't address something that you won't even acknowledge. And when you acknowledge something, then you'll have to do something. Then the onus will be on each of us as individuals to do something. So from where I sit, I've done my responsibility. I've gone to the embassy. I was willing to get up and go to the embassy. I was willing to take a little tethering device and stand on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying? I was willing to stand to say something with the cult's clothes on. I was willing to do that in another country. What are you willing to do? It's not a competition. Is there anything you're willing to do? What can you contribute to the solution instead of us sitting here behind a screen? If we're going to use the screen and social media, use it as something beneficial. There's a lot of education to be had. You can look at people growing fruits and vegetables all over the world. There's bananas growing. This is not rocket science. You don't have a frame of reference. They're gonna pimp you out. They're gonna exploit you. Be willing to invest in your education. Call a realtor. Invest online. Save your money and go visit the place. Instead of thinking you're just going to come with a couple of dollars to another country and it's the land of whatever. You know, it's colonialism all over the planet, people. The fantasies is not working for us. The fantasies that this person is this, you know, they're a Christian, they're man of God, they're into New Age, they wear ankhs. So, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be upright and righteous. It's not enough. The words is not enough. It's not enough. The rhetoric is not enough. It's the character. You don't know people until you live with them. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you this, folks better come up with something, some kind of a litmus test. Women, you better come up with a litmus test. Men, folk, don't think you can't get played, because I have watched with my own eyes. People are playing men, folks, too, who want and deserve a father. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. But it's our lives, our responsibility. What you going to do, folks? Come up with something, because you can and will get played. Don't think it can't happen to you. It happens to grown adults all the time. People with degrees and people with resources. Often in their willingness to expose. Yes, and it's also, I'm sharing so the best I can do is like, I'm a simple person. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here for the entertainment factor. I could care less about that stuff. I care less. You know, I'm simple. I like my simple garden, fruits and vegetables. I want to be around some decent human beings. You know, I don't think I'm better than other folks. All I can do is share my simple experience so folks can make more well-informed. This is not about hating anybody. Right? I don't hate. But do I have good feelings for what was done and manipulating women and children? Is it angering? Heck yeah. Again, this is part of the programming. We're trying to be peaceful and stuff. The people that are exploiting us. Really? I would like to see how many of you folks that have your savings scammed and your money's going to build structures and pyramids that folks are living in who have 99 acres of land. I would like to hear how, you know, calm and peaceful you folks are. And how, you know, polite you're willing to be. Folks don't know the half of what we experience. That we haven't even scratched the surface. You can't even remember all of it because we went there day in, day out. Times we were locked down in there. This is not a fantasy. This is real human beings here. Folks, we haven't expressed just bits and pieces because there's so much that, yes, it's very emotional to share this stuff. It's traumatizing. We didn't go in there to get scammed or to get played or to be We didn't have a frame of reference. We're not stupid. We didn't have a frame of reference. Right now, you go to another country, the people that are there already are walking around knowing that you don't know what's up. You don't know the growing cycles. You don't know the crime rate. You don't know about the new environment. So the people there have a different vantage point than you. They have a different perspective than you. You can be exploited unless there's some honorable human beings that won't exploit you. But it's your responsibility to protect yourself. We think that it's not spiritual. You're not being spiritual if you protect yourself. You're not being spiritual if you call out a predator because they look like you. Then you're not being spiritual. That you have issues because you're calling something out. No, I'm calling something out that I see. That's my responsibility as a mother and as a human being. My responsibility out of respect for myself. You know, one follower of these folks was like, you act like you were this or that because you didn't want to hug me. It was Joseph Robinson or not. Just because you black, I don't have to let you in my personal space, people. It's too much easy access to black women anyway. All of us have too much easy access to our genitals. We need to be more responsible with our genitals who we're letting into our space. That's just basic respect. But when you have respect and you set a boundary, people are going to have a problem with it. Because as chocolate folks in the diaspora, we don't have any boundaries. We don't have any boundaries. That's my simple observation. You don't have to take that as truth. We don't have any boundaries. We just let everybody in. They look like you. They say something that you like. You know, they're the top on the financial food chain. You want to be their friend. And you think they have something that you don't. And so we undervalue ourselves. In the worldwide community, we undervalue ourselves. We go into a cult. You undervalue yourself. They're banking on you looking at the other people that are in the cult as more valuable than you. So you're vying to try to be. They pit you against each other in the cult, and you want to be with a mate czar. As his mate told us, his queen mother, the high priest is treating you like his mates. We didn't ask to be his mate. No offense. This man, you know, no offense. Do I love him? Yes, I have a son. But at this point, that's not a priority. We all said it's not a priority, see? For somebody that's in their 20s or in their early 30s or teens, it's more of a priority. You want to be fit in, you want to be liked. You're not as twisted out by that when you get to a certain age. Sex is beautiful. It's not the priority. So that's why you need people that are of a certain age that you can manipulate like that. That's not a priority for me. So you can't get me with that. You can't tell a mature woman, I'm not insecure like that. I'm not insecure like that. So you can't get me with that. That I've never seen anything. You have to tell that to somebody that hasn't seen anything. These cats are savvy. They're savvier than you. They're slicker than you. As long as you don't question people and you're willing to, you just want to, you're so hooked on being politically correct and not being rude. This is an elder. I get it. Oh, my elder. I love my elder. Oh, but when you see an elder, oh my. Thinking that an elder, I know this may sound horrible. You think an elder can't rape somebody? You think an elder can't scam anybody because they're old and physical age? They're more wisdom and savvy. Same litmus test. Oh, I had a past. I don't know how you were held accountable for that. And that may be how other people dealt with you. I have to deal with you a certain way depending on who you are as a person. You don't know people's history, and they're not going to volunteer it to you. It is up to us, each of us as individuals, to do a litmus test. Let me tell you, we undervalue ourselves. When you go into these places, you come in and you put your money in the pot and all this other stuff, and they tell you, don't be materialistic, and you know what I'm saying? Because that's the white man is all about the materials. Okay, I came willing, interesting with this guy, Joseph Robinson. Yes, I came willing to share all of my resources, and another technique that's used is testimony. Go ahead, tell them, Mama so-and-so, what you did, what you gave. The conversation is always guided by the cult leader. You know, he puts words in everybody's mouth. He guides the conversation. I've watched in numerous instances the members of the cult say, grown adults, what do you want me to say, High Priest? Which thing is it you want me to say? You see, these are some of the distinctions and subtleties that you won't see. These are some of the glaring red flags. That doesn't make any sense. This person can't speak for themselves. Problem. Red flag. These are the things like, I'm out. I got to get out of here. The amount of control is extreme. He could do that with his children. If his children were born into the cult, the next genesis of generation, they're born into a cult. I get it. I don't need that kind of control. I don't need that kind of control. I don't need you to take pork out my mouth or meat out of my mouth or with locks. And I don't need to undervalue somebody that might be 300 pounds, say they don't have any contribution. You don't have to put somebody down to lift yourself up. We're all flawed human beings, but this is another level. You got to be careful with that also, be on the lookout for that, because again, the rhetoric to get people confused is using different things. Well, we all do this. When it's convenient, rationalizations and justifications so that you overlook certain behavior patterns, technique. I'm just saying this to share some of these subtleties. But again, tomorrow there'll be a health fair. They'll have representatives, basically young Belizeans who now have anchor babies into the cult. Their family members are out here who are just concerned about their safety. You know, they got to do something to psychologically be okay with their young people or in there who are now young adults, have been in there for a long time. I don't know if these people could even think they could survive coming out. They're not going to question him. They don't do anything without his okay. They're very isolated. Again, context. If you want to keep yourself insulated from other people, that's your right. But this is isolation. But they've submitted to the cult. The distinction here is when these folks, under the guise of these folks that are young people, one it was a has a position that's looked up to in terms of basketball here. That is what gives him credibility. That's what's being used to lure young people in. One sings. That's what's being used to lure people in. One other parent has a position here. These people are savvy, trying to tell you. I don't have hours to tell you. I can't put everything into a video, but I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you. At this point, all religions are suspect because you could close the books and you can tap into your common sense. Anything that makes you feel you can't come up with how to treat people and common sense of how you should be treated, that's a problem. That's a problem. Somebody telling you they're the savior, they're the high priest, and the need for these red flags. I didn't care what he called himself. My thing is I'm looking at your behavior and your treatment. When that didn't add up, I got to be out. Respectfully, I need to be out. And when I watched the manipulation, we wanted to leave several times. And different people that were being used, women in particular, which was very heartbreaking, to manipulate us and to ask us questions and to get more money. And to get and the interesting thing is we gave barrels and stuff. And so for folks to think, no, we're not stupid. There's nothing stupid about contributing in your community. There's nothing stupid. We're not, as people say, are you rich? We're working class folks that work for every dime we got. In the cold, in the rain. 2 sisters. No funds, no nothing. Using our creative skills and ability for our community. I'm thinking that's what we're supposed to do, right? I don't need marches or something to tell me to do that. And we got played. Was that wrong? I'm not going to sit here and feel dumb or stupid because I just got taken to school. I got some major lessons. I'm sharing the lessons. Simple. Simple. I didn't have a frame of reference for certain things. Were there red flags? Looking back, yes, now I can comprehend more so than red flags. There are certain things that didn't add up, but not wanting to falsely accuse and investigate and see what's there. And I actually did that, and that's how I learned, and that's how I was able to leave. It is what it is, people. We have people, Black people, chocolate people, brown people, people in our community and our churches, our religions, our synagogues that scam folks that manipulate children. It could be a woman. It could be many. Some women will overlook and defend predators. Many men will too, for specific reasons that are emotional and based on past traumas and triggers. That's the simplest way I can put it. It is your responsibility to find ways to legally protect yourself and inflict a financial and physical consequence on folks that will violate you and your children. Is that simple? Right. There are universal truths that all religions. Okay, somebody got a perspective on a universal truth. You can get a perspective on a religious truth. That's your perspective. And this is what you think we should do and how we should dress and how we should eat based on that. I whittled it down to very simple. respect, first for myself and then for others, and responsibility. Those two things have actions attached to it. If we can get it to the simplest thing, we live on a planet. We live on a planet with people that eat fruits and vegetables, and some eat meat. The first thing for us to do is to treat ourselves with respect. And respect does not mean allowing people to abuse you and not having a response. That's equivalent to being a zombie or having a lobotomy. There's no esteem and not responding. There's no self-respect and not responding to somebody that's abusing you. It hasn't worked. Sitting and praying and waiting for help to come. Where we at now? Where we at, mothers? Where we at? How long do we keep making rationalizations, justifications? And the other thing, we're ascribing qualities based on our preference, based on our heartfelt desire for community. We're giving qualities to people that haven't really demonstrated it. Again, because you see somebody in a garden and growing fruits and vegetables, you don't know how all those women came to be there. You don't know what some of the mothers and the different people that have disappeared. You don't know that they got 99 acres of land that you're sending donations for. You don't know they're using the music to brainwash people. These are the subtleties you don't know. How are you going to know if nobody told you? So I spoke up. That's my part. That's what I can do. Y'all checking for my safety? Are you checking for other women and children's safety? Women and men out there? All of this stuff has come out. All of this, I'm not no soothsayer, soul seer, spiritual healer. I don't need the titles. I'm a mother. I'm a woman. I'm a simple person. Far from stupid. I got taken to school. I'm sharing some of the wisdom. That's my responsibility. I had a couple of elders, a few elders that gave me some common sense lessons. That's what allowed me to get the heck up and get out of here. One, godmother. She said years ago, you own your stuff, but don't you own somebody else's. This is my godmother. See, simple. You own your stuff, Kwasa, but don't you ever give your power to no one ever again. This is my young state of my brain. You own your stuff, but not somebody else's. My grandmother said, you're welcome here, but just don't bring foolishness around me. My grandpa said, what you going to do with all that book learning? You're so smart, you're stupid. So wonder why these old people talk like that. I got a chance to experience my grandmother. She didn't have self-help. She didn't have yoga books. I don't even know what she went through in her time. She was almost 100 when she passed. But she was the most pleasant, present human being I've ever met. I don't know what teacher or what person that was for you, somebody in your life that was kind or exemplified something for you. Look for those people because they are simple gems. Godparents told me, even if you never knew your mother or your father, or they wasn't there, find what gifts they gave you. That was an assignment. These from two common sense people. And I was thinking like, wow. That assignment, it just helped me to focus on, not to ignore maybe the so-called imperfections of my parents, but what were the common sense gifts that they gave me. These were a couple of simple little teeny gems that were in my brain that gave me a sense of self. Did it stop me from making certain errors in my life? No, but it definitely gave me, it guided something. It was something when I saw certain things that stood out to me. What did they say? This fits in with, it was just some common sense wisdom that somebody put a little gem in my brain of common sense. So I'm sharing. That's my responsibility to share. And that's what I'm going to share. People, these cult leaders would try to take your voice. Told me one mind than 100 of somebody else's. I didn't know what she meant. Yep. Common sense wisdom. That's right. I'm calling him by, that's his title. High priest, he calls himself. I will never call him high priest ever again. Ever, except high priest of deception. His name is Joseph Robinson. And again, I encourage you, a lot of times you're dealing with these folks, you don't even know their legal names and you're following them. You don't even know their legal names. So by the time your money is gone, you're impregnated, could have a disease, been emotionally traumatized, and they're gone and disappeared. If you was to go to court or something or try to call the authorities or anybody, you don't even know the person's name. You didn't even know the person's name. This is how we're moving and functioning out here. This is how we're moving and functioning out here. You don't even know people's names that you're dealing with. but we so in the culture has become a religious fervor. We've traded off Christianity and other religious houses, the main house of worship, for a replacement. And we're thinking it's different. The form has changed, the substance again. Yes, we're capable of that stuff too. And so I just encourage folks to think critically. It's uncomfortable sometimes to think of what people in your own community can be capable of, but take a look around. This is not an isolated incident. This is not just about money for a healing program. When you see something, are you going to say something? Or, you know, are you just afraid of the backlash? Do we need to air everything out on social media? I don't know. I can't tell everybody what to do. I can't tell, but I can share from my simple, humble experience. And I can tell you again that I'm watching tomorrow as these folks take women and young people, put them out front because that's what you want to see, because it's an image of young people and that's what you see, and you don't ask any questions. You go over and you shake hands. What we have done is allow this predator to have credibility. And then the name, quote unquote, whatever his name is, so-called Kwatamani. Everybody's calling himself Kwatamani. One of the young people in there wanted to call himself, at one point wanted to tell his father his name is Kwatamani. And I watched this guy, Joseph Robinson, say, no, don't do that because his father's in the military. Said, no, don't do that because your father's a warlord. These are the nuances and the subtleties you're not going to see. You're not going to see the women come forth who have disappeared, young women who did not come there for that. You're not going to see that. So let's not get it twisted. There's plenty of people that comment and stuff. I don't have time to be on here all the time. I don't have time. I sit and I watch because this has all been a teachable moment for us. A teachable moment as a collective. This is a huge teachable moment. As my grandpa said, what you going to do with that book learning? Now that you have seen, now what is each one of us going to do? Can we come up with something? I don't know what it's going to look like for you. What can each one of us do to ensure safety and a litmus test? Healthy boundaries, even with each other. Yes, healthy boundaries with each other of respect. More so than we just want to be liked. We want to be liked. We're so traumatized. We want to be liked. We want to be liked. So we just overlook character. Because people can sing, or they're pretty, or they got muscle, or you like their looks. It's really not hard. The high thief is a scam artist. What I want to emphasize, it's not just him. And it's like just putting everything on Trump. Trump represents a constituency. It's like a company. You have a front officer. It's not about getting caught up just on the high priest or any individual con artist. Look so you can see the patterns. That I would say we won't get the lesson if we just get attached to one celebrity or one con artist. It's not one person. These patterns are occurring in our everyday life. I cannot overemphasize. See, if you apply it to one, you got to apply it to all. It's true. If you apply it to MJ in the aura, you got to apply it to the white version and the black version. And you got to apply it to the examples in your own life. And it will mean we got to look at ourselves. We can't apply it to one person. That's what will get got. Because then the predators play to your desire for favorites and your preferences. Apply the same principle. That's what allowed me to get up and out of there. I don't care. You can say you eat fruits and vegetables and raw foods, but I'm seeing some behavior. I saw a couple of behavior. I was like, whoa. What happened to sacred garden culture and the peace and the stuff that was in the songs? Whoa, I would come back like, yo, I just saw something. I didn't see that until I came in and lived in it. I wasn't aware the homeboy was capable of that. I'm just saying, I didn't see that. Oh, okay. With my own eyes. That's why I said I'm not asking for permission or validation. I lived in there. At certain points, we were isolated and locked down in there. Yep. Watch this video. I'm telling you, he's savvier than me. He's savvier than you. I can admit that. But I'm telling you, my best, simplest bet is to have a litmus test when I'm dealing with everybody. So don't be offended. Don't be offended. Should we ever see each other on the street and I don't rush to hug you? I just want to allow I'm allowing myself to go through a natural process of getting to know you. Understand, it's not to be offended. We're the most hugging love. I love to hug, but life experience and wisdom has made me just let me just take a minute and allow myself the time to get to know folks. Let me go through a natural process so I can see who folks are. You know, and it's okay for us to allow each other, you know, to acknowledge folks, respect with love, acknowledge, but give each other the space to get comfortable on our own in a natural way, just like a child needs to be comfortable. But if we show the child that this person is safe, then everybody will follow. They're watching us. Some of us never had boundaries. We don't have, it's a free fall. So we allow anybody in, and a train is being run on us, and we're participating in the train because we keep opening up doors saying, come on in. This one just got up on top of me, let the other one. I can't even tell you sometimes when I'm speaking, the stuff that has come out of this man's mouth to me and my sister. We're grown adult women. So which tells me he was counting on, we were so lacking in esteem and so broken that we wouldn't even respond. Because I can see the other women are broken. But you're trading one program for another one. This one just got fruits and vegetables and basketball on it. You come at people with food and appetites. You will be exploited for your appetites every time. Every time. So question, folks. You allow predators to roam free. You don't have to kill them. You don't have to hate them. But I don't have any love for the behavior. I'm very, very clear. It's important for us to draw some very distinct boundaries. When you violate children, no, you don't have access to the children anymore. You don't get to pick them up from school anymore. You don't get to handle funds anymore. You don't get to handle the savings and the money anymore. No, you don't have a track record. And being that's a lot of stuff in the world and in our community, then we're going to need to, or it will be beneficial, because I can't tell grown folks what to do. It's going to be beneficial for us to deal with each other with healthy, tangible boundaries before people are allowed to put their hands on your body. They have access to your finances before you start taking on their doctrine and feeding their music and their doctrine to your children. This is not just about, you know, it's not really serving me to just come on here with a bunch of sarcasm and wittiness. You know, that's not my thing. I'm not good at that. I'm not getting off on just coming here and being sarcastic and show how witty and how many names and I can come up for this guy. No, it's the thing is for people to be aware and be stimulated to cross-reference people. And don't stop it just online. Cross-reference people. It's like cross-reference what you eat. Cross-reference, it's a difference between being paranoid and being responsibly cross-referencing people. Before you take their medications, before you just follow a new leader and the latest thing that's out, cross-reference and be responsible. So we're not in a certain kind of we're left in a position. That's what this is about. It's not, because it's not, this is bigger than High Priest. I'm watching about this man in Central America. He's been able to operate for a long time for a reason. You know, it's bigger than one individual. This is bigger than Bada, R. Kelly, MJ. They're the tip of the iceberg. This is rampant in our community, and we're going to address it. And we're going to keep talking about and deflecting to the quote unquote white supremacy and white. Okay, that has relevance. But a lot of us, you know, stuff going in our house. In our house, what are we going to do about it? What is each one of us going to do about it? That's tangible. It's not a witch hunt. You don't have to go on a witch hunt. No, set a boundary. Set a healthy, I invite folks, I encourage you to set a healthy, tangible boundary of respect. Maybe that's the one universal truth we can pull out of all of these so-called religious books. A boundary. Instead of somebody constantly, I smite thee down and I do this. It's like everybody has so many different interpretations of these books. It's like it's just neutralized the brain. You know, simple, common sense. Protect yourself. Physically, financially, emotionally, and mentally. Be responsible for yourself and not expect these people to be the Sufi and see your soul and the earth soul of Messiah. Another simple piece of wisdom my godfather gave me. Love that man. Simple. And he cussed. Love him. Creative. Dedicated. Without a bunch of hoopla. Not show off. Never call him no highs. Never no titles. He said, your life is just as important as Jesus Christ. He said, you are a living book. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful to a couple of people that gave me some simple common sense that has stood the test of time. So whoever's standing in front of me, it's just a couple of little things. Because elders, they be saying stuff and not a whole bunch of rhetoric and going on and on, talking in circles. Simple to the chase. Your life is just as important as Jesus Christ. You a living book. Wow. So over the years, you know, they gave us spiritual practices. Get a job. Make sure you clean and smelling good. Become a vegetarian, lacto-ovo vegetarian. You know, encourage us. They didn't tell us what to do. I had two simple godparents. Godmother never had children out of her own womb. But when I tell you the most dynamic, healthy example of a Black woman that was healthy and not bitter. Wow. Dynamic. So loving. I'm so grateful to have come across those people. Okay, some people don't have that. I'll share just a couple of gems they gave me and my grandma Lou. Simple wisdom has served me well without rhetoric from a whole bunch of books. I said, Grandma, my grandma Lou, I said when I was younger, Grandma, you ain't going to go to church? Because she was cleaning her house and walking around and singing. She said, no, child, I'm not going there to give that man all my money. Simple, you see? Simple wisdom. Simple. She said as I was a little girl. So those are the simple little things with no drama, no rhetoric, no whole bunch of books, no classes and workshops that have served me to this day. Simple common sense wisdom that I could actually apply without any kind of confusion. Some people may not have that. I just shared some gems. People can take it. If it works and it resonates for you, if you find value, use it, share it. If not, leave it right there. But it is not beneficial. It is not a good use of folks' time to just come here and just how sarcastic and how witty can we be with words and how stupid are they or whatever, and not seeing where these patterns are existing in our own lives. So I'm just sharing, folks. That's all I can do. I got other stuff to do. You know, my nails dirty. I wore it late. I got to go back in my little small garden, which, you know, it's actually a good amount of work. And I'm grateful for it. It's a small space. As I've been saying, everybody can grow something. You can grow microgreens in your house. Work from where you're at, because every environment has its trade-offs, and every environment has its benefits. But also, you know, everybody's make your mental health your priority. Instead of going to, I invite you to, can't tell you what to do, grown folks what to do. I invite you to find simple ways to, you know, exercise. Don't cost you nothing. You don't need a gym membership. You know, embrace your look and embrace yourself, because any insecurities, this is what people play off of. Industry does it. Predators do it. They come in all different flavors, all different kinds of packages. There's a profile for everyone. The more secure you are in your own being and your own self, and the more responsible, and the more you set boundaries, the safer you're going to be. All right, folks. You know, contribute to the conversation if you like, respectfully, in a way that you feel can be valuable to yourself and others. Share in a way that can be valuable. We can use any tool that we have to our benefit. But do know, when you give it past to these predators and you allow them to go around unchecked, this is how they gain more hold in the society. And within our immediate community, we allow them to go unchecked. And that time is past. How much more do we need to see as individuals? How much more do we need to see? Are we going to continue to send them money? But they a lot of times living a way that you wish, and you sending them money. This cat sitting on 99 acres. Okay, get your own acreage. You know what I'm saying? One is not better. You could do what you need to do for yourself. We're so busy looking at what other people have. We're not valuing what we have. We want relationships, and you know, everybody's not perfect. I watched this guy say that, you know, African American folks are horrible. I watch him talk bad about folks that are sending him money from Babylon. You know, as he says, the Babylon horse shimmies and dance. Okay, that's some of our people. We have some gifts too. It's up to us. Take the best and leave the rest, folks. But I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know what folks are willing to do. I'm doing my simple part by sharing. It's up to each one of us. What are we gonna do instead of just sitting around and looking passively? You can grow a garden. You can rock your hair. There are things, we are intelligent enough to come up with some things economically. It's a challenge. It's a puzzle that we'll have to figure out. But when we surrender our brain power and our critical thinking to other people, you're going to get what you get, and you're going to get a lot that you had not banked on. So there are some things I realize some people are not going to have a frame of reference for. I realize when people come on here and just venting and being witty and coming up with names for this guy, which I get it, the comedy, but the priority for me is just people just getting connected dots. There's so much I can see that people just can't see. And so I get it. Some people said, I didn't know. I didn't know. They know the videos we did. There's people in police that haven't seen the videos. We can only do but so much. You know, I can't, I'm not in a position to be a martyr for all my folks, because some of us don't want to get it. If you have appetites and vices and insecurities, they will be exploited, because these folks are savvier than us. So, yeah, folks, what are you going to do? Create a great day, contribute to the conversation in a way that you think is valuable. I think I said that already. Share with some folks in a way that can be beneficial. I'm not here for validation or popularity contest. There's other stuff that to do. And I am posting some stuff on gardening, but at some point, I will say, and this is another note, it's okay when you plant a lot of seeds in the garden, and I wasn't raised with gardening. Not all the seeds are going to bust. And sometimes we don't even try things because we're scared of failure, or it's not going to turn out right. I lost some seeds. Sometimes that's how we learn, but that's a safe space to learn, is in the garden. The garden can teach you so much. It's a safe space to learn. If it's a jar of sprouts, which are super nutritious, and you can find ways to make them taste good. Yes, we can change our palates. We can change our spending. We're not going to die. Or maybe there's some appetites that will die when we change our consumption patterns. But we are definitely being manipulated off of our consumption patterns and our unwillingness, or I don't know if I want to say lack of ability. I don't want to really say lack of ability, on our willingness not to drop certain habits and vices. And these are things, again, technique that predators know, and they will take full advantage of. There's enough information for us at some point to turn off these computers and go out and try something. We underestimate the significance of saving and not spending, not being such a consumer and enjoying the clothes we have, or recycling, or swapping appliances, or, you know, we underestimate our spending. We underestimate wasted time. We underestimate exercising and eating more fruits and vegetables. Those are things within our capacity. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of information to be had on the internet that I'm like, wow, there's so much education. But at some point, we got to turn off the computer and try and do something. Not be afraid, you know, to lose some seeds. That's a safe place to quote unquote fail. It's not really failure, it's feedback. You can grow a garden. You can even perhaps grow microgreens and have it as a business in your apartment. I'm just saying, some folks are doing it. We're just wired to a certain way of thinking. Folks are not doing anything that you can't do, and nothing that you can't create. You can do it yourself if you want to, but if you're willing to put in the work. We can. These people are not doing anything. There's no saviors. There are no saviors. You want a savior? Look in the mirror, right? And then you'll see one looking right back at you, right? You just got to do something. Create a great day, folks.